Hey, couch surfers, it's me, the real Manos, and I have an episode of Recommends. Hey, look, I've stolen a series from Captain Logan. Today, I want to recommend to you this book. This is Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking. And let's see, this is a nifty one because it's signed. Actually, this is my wife's copy. You got this from the Kickstarter, right, for the book?
I pre-ordered it.
You pre-ordered it? Okay. And she was able to get a signed copy. How awesome is that? Essentially, this book is about... maybe I should rewind a bit. She obviously is famous for having probably the most successful Kickstarter album in the 2-week history of Kickstarter. And this book came out and described all sorts of things going on with that. But here's the thing, it's not really a how-to manual about how to properly fundraise. There are her experiences in this book, as well as, reflections on what she did right, what she did wrong, and, the whole process, a bit of the process. But this is more of, actually, what's interesting is it's written almost like a long blog post. There's no chapters or any kind of cut-offs or parts or anything like that. It just goes on. And it talks about how the Kickstarter actually is somewhat in relation to how she's gone about her career and how it actually is kind of nice and fitting, because she's kind of looked back on her life and she's realized how the simple act of asking has benefited her in tons of wonderful ways, where a lot of people tend to sit on that urge because of varieties of reasons. And she talks about her marriage with Neil Gaiman. There's a lot of good personal stuff in there. Hey, if you're a big Neil Gaiman fan, this is a really interesting book to read. And it talks about her relationship with her fans back when she was not only a street artist, but when she got her start with the Dresden Dolls and built her fan base with the band and onto her solo career. It's interesting how she talks about the corporate media and the corporate the record company that she was dealing with, and how they viewed how she should work with her fans, and how she had a completely different feeling. She talks about how she always wanted to keep conversations up, or keep up with blog posts, and just checking in with fans, and discussing things with fans. And they didn't even see the need to have the website up and her media up when they didn't have albums out. And it completely baffled them why she would want to communicate with fans when they didn't have stuff to sell. And it goes into a lot of the details, though, about the personal experience of her breakup with the record company. And it's really wonderful and kind of inspiration about how, in a lot of ways, she talks about it, specifically about the relationships she has with fans, and how it's grown over the years. And she talks about all the years of kind of couch surfing from tour date to tour date, and sometimes even talking about how maybe this is kind of crazy, maybe she's putting her life in the hands of some of her fans. And because sometimes she talks about not meeting the person, maybe having a couple of emails, and then going to their house and thinking, this is where a lot of horror movies start. And she has this wonderful excerpt where she talks about how she and her band went to this family's house where this teenage fan of hers had, set everything up, got permission with her family and everything. And to their shock, they didn't have extra rooms. The family let her band and herself sleep in their beds while they slept in the living room. And she talks about how that night she really felt amazingly guilty about that. And she talked to her mother afterwards. And her mother has this wonderful piece where she talks about how much her music had meant to her over the years, and how much, it had given her a lot of strength and inspiration, And she kind of comes to the conclusion that yeah, this is fair. This is a fair trade. An artist can give people hope. It can give them inspiration. And the exchange of like their time and their effort, and or just money. Here, I love your album. Here, I love your book. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's kind of how communication works a lot, through artists working with fans and dealing with fans. And it's kind of an amazing book, actually. I do recommend this to anybody. I'm forget about being a musician. I talk anybody who is an artist, because it's great how she talks about there are moments that she has to fight, even to this day when she's very successful, what she calls the fraud police. And, oh, I'm not a real artist because of this and this and this. And I gotta say, as a writer, as someone who creates, I'm kind of relieved to hear someone like her say that, because that's something I go through in my own head. And you always think you're the only person who thinks these things and has these feelings. And no, I guess that's not true. Other people do, and they probably have other names besides the fraud police. And it's nice to hear that. And I also recommend the book not only to people who create art, but just in general, as a way of kind of like dealing with the fact that asking is not terrible. It's a lot of people will feel like they're sort of like I either like begging or like admitting they're a failure or something like that. And it's just about trusting and being honest with people. And people are a little more caring about you than you might think. So yeah, I really dig this book a lot. It's also funny, and Neil Gaiman is hilarious, by the way, in this book. I do recommend this book. I think that's it for now, so until next time, you might see somebody else recommending something. Or maybe me again, I don't know. Push the button, Lindsay.